the miracle of water, the yin and the yang. We all have the experience of rejuvenation and joy on a vibrant spring day when the sap is rising in the plants and the tree buds are bursting with new life. Water is at the very heart of life creation. Sitting by a waterfall or on the rocks at the edge of the ocean on a sunny day, one can feel the energy of the water in our body. Water is closely linked to the emotions. There is a strong resonance of water with humans. Our ancestors were fascinated by its magic, and there is a vast mythology linked to water. Water carries all life, but water is beyond time, for it bears in its flow the seeds of future life as well as the memory of past life. Water mediates between life and death, between being and not being, between health and sickness. We have lost touch with the magic of water, the freshness of the mountain spring, the reflection in a mountain lake, the mystery of the sacred well. We just take for granted that water will come out of the tap when we turn the tap. Now, we have allowed water to spread illness and disease. Much is spoken these days of the destructive nature of water. Such water is nature on the rampant, perhaps showing who is boss at a time when humanity has wrought so much reckless damage to Earth's ecosystem and to the environment. Our bodies are composed of about 70% water, a similar percentage to that of the ocean surface compared to land on our Earth. Blood and sap are really variations of water. Earth is known as a planet of water. Astronauts wondered at Earth's blue, shimmering, watery aura seen from space. It seems as if water was intended for life. Certainly life could not have come without it. Water is found throughout the universe, though seldom as a liquid, which requires the relatively narrow temperature band which our Earth provides. Without doubt, water is the most important substance on Earth. It drives everything from the most delicate metabolic processes in our bodies to creating environments favorable to life, to weather patterns and climate change. The poet, philosopher, and scientist Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 1749 to 1832, was, more than anyone, a bridge between pre- and post-Enlightenment thinking. He sensed a profound difference in outlook between the new rational, mechanistic, and more exclusive worldview and the more traditional, inclusive, nature-centered view. He called the latter holistic science in contrast to the reductionist science. Goethe understood all life is one, closely interconnected and interrelated, with water as a very symbol of holism, with its role in the substance of life. Goethe referred to the water as the ground of all being. Thales of Miletus of ancient Greece, 1640 to 546 BC, also believed water to be infused with being, believing it was the original substance of the cosmos. The Austrian water wizard Victor Schauberger, 1885 to 1958, held a similar view, saying that water is a product of the subtle energies that brought the earth into being and is itself a living substance. Sacred knowledge. Until quite modern times, water was generally regarded as sacred. This precious substance used to require a great deal of effort to collect for domestic use, and still does in some parts of the world. It was treated with reverence and believed to be protected by divine beings. One of the principal cultural ceremonies of the Pacific Northwest indigenous tribes in British Columbia was the potlatch, believed to have been practiced for thousands of years. Usually a part of this complex ceremony was given to the recitation of the spiritual traditions of the tribe. The speaker, a position often handed down in one of the chief families, performed this important role. The training of future speakers, quote unquote, was a long observed ritual involving teaching the young person to listen to the wind from mountain tops, to the sound of the ocean waves on the rocky shore, and to the music of the rushing stream. They would in this way learn to incorporate nature's sounds and cadences in the telling of the stories of the tribe's wisdom. To these people, water was a sacred medium of communication, and they felt its sound should be the vehicle for teaching their traditions. How water informs language is hinted by many of the ancient scripts, which employ flowing lines like water in their characters. For instance, Hebrew. Greek also became more regular, but it was Latin with its angular, straight characters that forgot the memory of water. Latin script initiated the estrangement from nature, forming the basis for Euclidean geometry, with its circle, straight line, and point, which are not to be found in nature. There are esoteric uses of water for water. Nostradamus used a bowl of water as a scrying tool for seeing future events. Victor Schauberger had a remarkable experience while sitting by a rushing stream in his pristine alpine refuge, listening to his vivacious music. He intuited that how water needs to move and behave in order to stay healthy, which was to inform his groundbreaking research. Our attitude towards water has changed enormously in recent centuries. With the advent of rationalism and the denial of spiritual influences on humanity, came to the great explosion of technology that loudly proclaimed human supremacy over nature. Since we decided we were not part of nature, and we had devised our own self centered laws, we have lost touch with the magic of water. We have forgotten its true nature and the meaning of its pulsating movements. Our biology and physics textbooks tell us that water is merely an inorganic compound through which various chemical processes take place. One of the reasons why mainstream science knows so little about water may be its obsession with the physical nature of life. Older cultures did not suffer from this limited worldview and consequently appreciated water's special qualities better than we do today. Now, what about holism? The key to understanding water and living more in tune with our environment is to learn to see and feel holistically as part of the community of beings, human, animal, microbial, and botanical, united by a common bond of water. It's through the medium of water that we all share a common heritage. We are all one. Ancient mystic systems, especially Hindu, Taoist, and Buddhist, held water in particular reverence and understood some of its quantum qualities, even if they did not describe them in the terms of quantum science. Niels Bohr and Robert Oppenheimer, pioneers of quantum physics, and more recently David Bohm, Einstein's protege, found remarkable similarities between their new worldview and the concepts of the oneness of all creation held by those mystical systems. Water is the epitome of holism. It collects all life, and life cannot exist without it. Spiritual and mystical experiences have strong link with holism. Dynamic water, when it's alive and energized, performs the roles of initiating and operating all the processes of life. The most important function of biological water is to facilitate rapid intercommunication between cells and connective tissue so that the organism can function and as a coordinated whole. Though not recognized by mainstream science, living water in fact performs this intercommunication function between all organisms, groups of organisms, populations, natural kingdoms in the world, creating a network of sensitivity throughout all life, even between life on Earth and the cosmos, so that nothing can happen without affecting other processes. All are linked together by water, and in this way it drives evolution. The story needs to be told simply of how water is the stage manager of life, communicating to our body cells how to be part of a vast orchestra, how it distributes energy to make the landscape balanced and productive. Indeed, the very laws which govern the harmonious movement of the planets also determine the form and behavior of our organic life through water. This extraordinary picture of water's part in the evolution of life derives from the discovery of the quantum field that interconnects all of creation in a vast web of energy. Rudolf Steiner and his interpreter Theodor Schwenk believed that the quantum field, also known as the etheric field, contains the encoded data bank of the information required for evolution to proceed. The yin-yang balance, Victor Schauberger demonstrated how life, both at the maintenance level and in evolutionary processes depends on the subtle balancing between energy polarities, shown at its best in the unstable balancing between positive and negative polarities in water's behavior. These have not been well described in scientific writing, therefore, a summary of their importance would seem desirable. The sun is our main source of energy. In Chinese tradition, it emits a positive yang, a muscular energy. The earth balances this with a yin, or a feminine negative energy, and without this interplay, there would be no water, plants, or chemical compounds. Yin and yang are dynamic in the sense that their energy fluctuates when one expands, the other diminishes. The concentration of energy is a yin process, while that to move to disperse is a yang. Western thought holds them as fixed states, but in the Chinese tradition, they are constantly shifting. Thus, in every man there is a feminine energy, and every woman there is a masculine energy, and these tendencies varying in different situations. It is the same in nature. Mornings tend to have yang energy, and evenings as well. As Fritjof Capra comments, Chinese sages seem to have recognized the basic polarity that is characterized of living systems. Self-assertion is achieved by displaying yang behavior and by being demanding, aggressive, competitive, expanding, and as far as human behavior is concerned, by using linear analytical political thinking. Integration is furthered by yin behavior by being responsive, cooperative, intuitive, and aware of one's environment, but both yin and yang, integrative and self-assertive tendencies are necessary for harmonious social and ecological relationships. So one can see that our society has favored yang over yin, rational knowledge over intuitive wisdom, science over religion, competition over cooperation, and exploitation over conversation. All processes depend on an unstable reciprocity between extremes. As soon as the process becomes stable, it stagnates. It's the same with water. Moving, circulating water is energized. Still water is effectively dead. Water is the ideal medium for processing because it is an unstable and dynamic medium, and without water, nothing in Earth's environment can change. Nature is founded far more on cooperation than on competition, because it's only through harmonious interplay of energy that physical formation can occur and structures can be built. At the heart of the creative process in nature are negative and positive polarities such as chaos and order, quantity and quality, gravity and levitation, electricity and magnetism. The last polarity Schoenberger studied as complementary qualities. Now, in every case, for a natural process to be harmonious, one polarity cannot be present without the other, and each needs the other to make up the whole. Natural law, as Victor Schoenberger describes, requires that for creative evolution to be maintained, the polarities are not 50-50, which would result in atrophy, but an unevenly balanced towards the yin or the negative. Water, principal quality, is to bring balance to life. For this reason, you would expect it to be very stable. In fact, the reverse is true. The water molecule is made up of two small positively charged hydrogen atoms and one very large negatively charged oxygen atom. The strong bifurcated hydrogen bonds are unsymmetrical, which makes water unstable and unpredictable. This instability belongs not only to the aquatic sphere, it's the guiding law of the universe since its inception. Instability and unpredictability are the secrets of matter's the secret of matter's very existence and the impulse of creativity. As we all know, predictability is a receipt for a boring existence, and it is the restlessness of water that stimulates this pulsation and constant swinging between the yin and the yang. The dance of creation is a harmonious interplay through attraction and repulsion of polarized atoms. The mutual attraction of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom gives birth to the marble of water, H2O. The cyclical role of dual polarity is initiated by the positive charge of the sun, the inseminator of life, which melds with the Earth's reception and feminine energy together. They are essential components for all biological processes. We don't normally think of water carrying an electric charge, but its bioelectrical sensitivity is one of the most important qualities in its importance for life. The electromagnetic qualities of mineral-rich or saline water allow it to steer processes and evolution by constantly shifting the energy reciprocally between positive and negative charges. Schauberger showed that a natural river flowing sinuously across the landscape recharges its energy towards the positive or yang on a right-hand bend and towards the negative or yin on the left-hand bend. This constant accumulation of yin and yang charges rises the energy level of the water so that it can perform its true role in nurturing the landscape. The same happens with our biological water. Through the spiraling movement, water maintains its energy as living water, quote unquote. In its most dynamic state, water develops the structure of a vortex, which raises its energy level more quickly if the direction of the spin alternates between left and right signals. Now, because the quantum or etheric field is universe and water is common to the universe, associated with life or potential life, it seems natural to view them as complementary, working together in esoteric terms. The etheric, sometimes called the God field, may be seen as a masculine yang, initiating polarity, with the water medium such the receptive has a receptive female, feminine yin role. What I propose is that the water medium and the quantum field are two completely complementary aspects of the balanced medium, sustenance and evolution of life, and you might call this a candidate for the united field theory. If we say that water builds the physical structures of living organisms, this begs the question of where are the templates? We believe they are held in the etheric or quantum field, often encoded in sacred geometry. For example, in the indispensable container for the emergence of new life is the egg shape, the only shape in which water can circulate spontaneously. The egg and similar shapes like the pine cone or spiral structures such as seashells or leaf designs have a symmetry defined by phi, or the golden section. These symmetries have a yin-yang ratio, which can be defined mathematically by the number 1 to 1.618.03396,988, or 1 to 1.618, which seems always to be the associated in nature and the transmutation of energy into form. Communication. What is the scientific evidence for water as communication medium? An exciting discovery in recent years has been the strange role that water plays in biological communication. It has come to light that collagen, the connective tissue that makes up the bulk of all multicellular animals, is crucial to the integrity of the organism. It's composed of a crystalline mixture of collagen proteins embedded in water, comprising 60 to 70% by weight. This water is specially structured in chains along the collagen fibers and has the ability to self-organize. Dr. Mao Wan-ho, co-founder of the Institute for Science and Society and one of the most prominent holistic biophysicists, has specialized in the role of biological water. She believes that the collagen chains they enable water to become superconductive, an ideal medium for instantaneous communication, for coordination of all cellular activities. She believes that the liquid crystal continuum constitutes our body consciousness that may well have evolved before the nervous system, but which today works both in partnership with and also independently of the nervous system. Quote, "This body consciousness is the basis of sentience, the prerequisite for conscious experience that involves the participation of the intercommunication whole of the energy storage domain," end quote. We hear increasingly of water being described as a conscious organism, quote unquote. It is an organism in the sense that it has integrity, independence, cohesion, and particular qualities that allow it to be the driver of life and evolution. The quality of the consciousness may also seem a strange term to apply to water, but if it's the medium of communication, it could also be the medium of consciousness. Victor Schoberger and Theodor Schwenk demonstrated that the water medium also has intelligence. Water has the quality of restlessness, which gives living systems the ability to become even more complex and to strive forward towards perfection. We use the term intelligence in connection with water because it optimizes the conditions for life by regulating environmental processes. At a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius or 98.4 degrees Fahrenheit, water requires a very large input to remove the removal of kinetic energy in order for its temperature to rise, allowing it to keep the blood in the human body at a constant temperature of 37 degrees or 98.4 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, any deviation from which indicates illness. Another of the intelligences of water is that it takes a lot of energy to freeze, and once frozen to melt, and a huge amount of energy to vaporize water, which stops the air from excessive heating. This makes water a very effective balancer of climate extremes. The warmer the air, the more water vapor it can hold, and the longer the temperature can remain constant. The interaction of all these properties of water has created a temperate climate zone on Earth with optimal conditions for evolution of the human species. Certainly, complex civilizations could not have evolved without the stability of moderate, stable climates. Without these self-regulating systems, life could never have developed beyond the simplest forms. Water's memory. Much has been written about water's memory. Does it have a memory? Masaru Emoto studied the structure of ice crystals to demonstrate the quality of inner liquid water origin. He demonstrated how poor quality water cannot build good structures, while high quality water produces the most beautiful crystalline images. Amazingly, water that has been exposed to harmonious music or exalted human energies can produce pure, beautiful crystals, while when it's exposed to disruptive energies, it can produce well-structured crystals. It cannot produce well-structured crystals. When water is flowing, as its nature dictates, energetically in spirals and vortices, and continually changing its state, the molecules, if conditions permit, organize themselves into structures, layers, or clusters of vibrating energy centers which carry constructive information, constantly receiving and transmitting energy from every contact the water body makes. These clusters or layers can store vibrational energy impressions or imprints, rather like a magnetic tape. If these are beneficial, they may be able to restore health resonance in the human body, as in homeopathy. On the other hand, if there are the imprints of toxins or pollutants in the drinking water, they may be carriers of disharmony and disease. Water does have memory. When we think we have purified water of the chemicals and hormones we have mindlessly thrown in order to make it drinkable, the energy of these contaminants remains, polluting our energy bodies in the same way that chemicals affect our physical bodies. Because of its nature, water sacrifices itself entirely to the environment for good or for bad. How can we experience water's spiritual qualities? My water epiphany came spontaneously when I had the realization that I am embedded in water. I saw water as infinite continuum of life in which all living creatures are contained. This experience was much more powerful than the intellectual idea of being connected. We are all one because of water. I find being close to the horses a bit scary. One day the field where I walked regularly had 3 mares with their growing foals. I liked to take them apples as a treat, but when all 6 surrounded me, they felt a bit threatening. Now, when I tried to visualize these lovely, powerful animals as part of my family through the water link, They seemed to become more like family and they were much less scary. It's what you might call a holistic connection. Try it yourself. It can even work with people. In Eastern tradition, when you greet someone, you bow your head to them or palm your hands together in front of your heart in recognition of the person's divine nature. Because our biological water or blood is a sacred link to the divine in all of us. Water as a teacher. Water can teach us many things. The most important lesson is that nature will not tolerate gross inequalities. Water's role is to bring down to size, to level, to stimulate fertility and productivity of the whole, not individuals in isolation. Through water, quantum coherent organisms invariably become entangled with one another. The quantum world is a world of universal mutual entanglement, the prerequisite for universal love and ethics. And because we are all entangled and each being is implicit in every other, the best way to benefit ourselves is to benefit the other. It's the restlessness of water that gives living systems the ability to become even more complex and to strive towards the perfection they can never reach. As a driver of evolution, water is a model for our own striving, allowing us to evolve through our own mistakes. This is a self-empowerment process of holistic biology. Water raises its dynamic energy through turbulence and chaos, which in the big picture mirrors a turbulence of change in human society. The dynamic way that water creates energy shows up our technology way of generating energy as wasteful, generous, dangerous, and harmful to the environment. You might call these natural or spiritual laws as opposed to the anthropocentric laws that we construct. If we could personally experience and truly understand the miraculous properties of water for life, our lives would become more meaningful, and if it's not too late, we could become responsible custodians of nature. This is by Alec Bartholomew, New Dawn magazine on Humans Are Free. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.